Today I'm sharing on a topic, become safe, become more complete. How do you do that? How do you feel like you become more whole rather than shattered or broken or I don't know. How do you go about that? How do you move? Once upon a time I had no idea, and now I do because I've devoted my life to um, really getting present to myself and learning over years and years of how the spirit can guide us and teach us all things. And I've worked with hundreds and maybe thousands of people over the years who have come one way and left another way. Does that mean that their life is A-okay for the rest of their life? No, it just means they're more whole and more complete. And so therefore their life, my life, has shifted externally profoundly. Profoundly. The bullies that used to be in my life don't even come near me anymore. There's harmony and peace in my life, and I order most of the time. And when there isn't, and certainly there was an incident that happened this week, there's always stuff challenges me just before a seminar, but I know now what to do with those challenges, and we've moved through the challenges, the relationship challenges with some of the family members, not with me particularly, but with themselves. So I'm going to share from that, but I'm going to change the names of people so you don't know who they are. But the whole reason for sharing stories is that when I listen to anyone, I love to hear stories, and I love to learn through that story and take out the essence of what it's trying to say to me. So what I suggest you do today is not try and remember all of that I share, that if there's a word that stands out to you, or there is something that I share, you go, yep, I can do that. That's something I can do. That's something where I can change, because we can always do something. We can change. And we can also ask the one who is within us to enable us to do that change, which is profoundly life-giving and changing. So this week, I feel quite emotional as I share it with you. I was speaking to a young person who I will call Mick. And Mick is a beautiful young man with a great big tender heart who had quite a traumatic beginning in life. And as he's gone on, been very, very an open book, but has gone to school after school after school after school and been bullied and bullied and bullied and bullied mercifully. You know how you listen to stuff on TV? It's true. Some of the things that was said over social media or to him, I don't know, you just feel for Mick so much, because I don't know how he's still standing because of the stuff. Now, the wonderful news was I went to Mick just to listen and to let Mick know that I loved him. And in this particular case, I knew that I needed to be safe because he's been hurt so badly. You become protected and guarded, and of course that closes you off, but it's a way of surviving, and you have to be in control. But I just came out of love to listen. And what Mick shared with me was very relevant to the topic today, because as I just listened, and he shared that he was just didn't know what direction to go, what to do. He's had a couple of bad accidents, and that's really thwarted his plans at the moment. And he said, I've been looking at my life, and all I've done is being bullied everywhere I go. And he shared with me, because I didn't have to say much. See, it's about the belief we take on about ourselves as a result of the way people treat us. And he had taken on, and it was left to made to feel that he was a misfit. Well, I don't know whether any of you have ever felt like a misfit, like you don't belong. I certainly did earlier on in my life. I don't anymore, but I used to feel like a misfit. And he went on to explain, as a result of all the bashing, he felt shattered, absolutely shattered. Now, how can you operate in life if at the core of your being you feel shattered, a misfit, alone, you don't belong, and other than buying people things to make them friends, this is what people do, kids do these days, and people do, because they don't want to be alone anymore. So he is certainly anything from complete at the moment, because but the wonderful thing is he was willing to share what he was feeling and the sadness that he felt, because, and in that, the belief is I can't do anything. And of course, I now know that's not true, but people have to be ready to be able to allow either the spirit of life, the spirit of justice, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, to come into the wounded area and reveal his truth. And then in that place, everything gets transformed. All the pain goes and you hear the truth, which really does bring freedom and enables you then to move on in life, which I'm hoping for Mick when he's ready. And this is a big lesson about becoming complete. If you want to help people outside of your lives, I realised as I've gone on and worked with people and been present to them, there's a timing in everything. There's a timing to listen to them. There's a timing to ask if they would like help. There's a timing just to be. And there's a time to be silent and a time to speak. There's times, so it's about being aware and sensitive to that person, because in my old self, because I was pretty shattered when I was younger and I had some pretty traumatic things happen, which I no longer feel the pain of any of it. I feel really whole in those areas, but I'm still on the journey to wholeness too, but I'm certainly feeling greater wholeness and completeness and safety within myself. This is why I run these seminars with Agape, because I know what's possible. I know what I've seen in other people. I want other people who want to no longer have the mental torment and mental anguish, when they're ready to know the tools and the keys, if they want. And through the meditations, the spirit can help them if they're open and if they're ready. So with Mick, I just felt a heart of compassion, and I sat with him in that place of shatteredness, and I just loved him. So maybe that's what you might need to do with yourself and with those around you, where in the old days, as I said, I tried to fix it up because it made me feel uncomfortable. Now I'm okay to be in it, where people do not want to be fixed up. They just want to be listened to and really heard. That's called unconditional love. I'll love you while I sit here and listen to you, so long as they're not abusive, of course. And they become more complete because there's unconditional love flowing through you, just to be a listening ear, not trying to fix it or give them platitudes or trying to make it all right, unless they're asking for advice. I had to wait, as I've shared many times, for my teenage children. And I learned to say to them, and it's one of the keys that I keep sharing over and over again, because even recently, my daughter's best friend, who's a bit like a daughter in our family, rang me and said, I want to let you know that little bit of sharing you did about when your kids were younger, what you did, and I did it, and it worked. And it made such a difference with my teenagers. So this is why we give you the tools, practical tools, to apply that can transform your relationships and your lives. So what was that key? That was all about asking, would you like me to listen? Or would you like me to share? Would you like me to say something? And more often than not, they would say, no, I just want you to listen. Now that's a death to myself in loving them. I had to pick that little cross up and walk away and say, well, over to you. I can't do anything, but I'm getting out of the way. So you created them. I'm committing them to your guidance, which he did. He's guided them throughout life, but I had to stand back until I'm willing to listen so they could become complete, lacking in nothing. So please remember to respect people where they are. And sometimes people have come to me and I've worked with them and they've gone into some pretty awful memories. Now they're happy to go to a certain level, and then there's a certain level where often they go into like a dark area of their memory, which is disassociation, which is to me the same as memories that can be resolved, and light comes into that, and then there's a sense of wholeness when those areas of darkness or fogginess or blankness in your memory, the way God's created us, I've seen, and I've seen this again many, many times. I've experienced it, where we just listen to ourselves and to those foggy areas and those parts in the dark, but under the guidance of the divine counselor. I know nothing. I just ask him to reveal how people are feeling. But you know, the other thing to become complete is to deal with your feelings. I don't know about you, just moving on. When you watch the television now, when you watch the news, when you read the news, it seems like there's nothing but bad news and dramatic news and painful news in so many areas in the world, which I won't name here now, but so many areas in the world. And I know there's an awful lot of other stuff going on that we don't see, that's hidden, where people are being hurt as well. So what do we do about that? And if we're not careful, we can get overwhelmed and we can actually get a bit shattered and we can get depressed as we look at all of this. That's where our focus is. And we take on the anxiety and the fear from what's going to happen, which we move into the future, which we're meant to leave in the future. And also we're meant to, the key is, pass it over to the one who's in charge of the whole world. I keep on saying, you're holding the whole world in your hand. I'm passing it all over to you and I'm thanking you. Because it says, a little instruction in the Word of God says, ask in prayer, ask. So often we forget to ask. Ask in prayer and thanksgiving, and do not doubt. He just does not say, ask in prayer and anxiety. Have I seen, and I've probably been one of them, so many people who ask for help, but they do it in prayer and anxiety, you know, and then doubt, and it all negates the possibility of what can happen, because he's asking you to believe in faith, which is the substance of things not seen, the evidence of things to come. And you can ask for that gift, the faith that he will deal with it. And oh my gosh, do I know how hard that is? But I ask for that grace, which is a free gift, just to believe all will be well. I used to get all will be well, all will be well. And I remember thinking, well, it's all right for you, but I'm here suffering. Because I was really being honest and real about my humanity. But what I didn't know then was I needed to come as I was, with my anxiety and my tensions. I needed to go to the divine counselor, the divine doctor, physician. Don't you do that with a doctor and say, well, this is where I am, and identify all their feelings and emotions. And in that, it leads on to what I took on and believed. And more often than not, the belief will be something like, I can't do anything, I'm stuck, it's my fault, I'm responsible, I'm bad, I'm dirty, I'm shameful. All of that can happen as a result of circumstances in our earlier life that are unresolved, and they repeat themselves. Do any of you recognise that? So what do you do with that? Exactly. So what you do is that my recommendation is, because it's dangerous territory, we're not psychologists, we're not counsellors, we're facilitators. I know over years of seeing successful encountering sessions where people have had amazing changes, that has brought them back to opening up, sharing their feelings, their beliefs, and the things that block them from hearing and experiencing truth. Because usually when you feel so lousy, then you think so lousy, then what you do is you either turn on other people with anger and resentment, or you turn on God, or you turn on yourself and you blame yourself and you hate yourself and you loathe yourself. And then people, again, I've seen this hundreds and hundreds of times. And then what happens is people then say, oh, I wish I was dead, because it's too painful living in this world. I hear that. I acknowledge that. I understand that. When you choose death, self-hatred, judgment, condemnation, and all of that, you end up going into the darkness more and more. And many people have said it feels like a heaviness on them, and they can't get up, they can't move. And that's what I think Nick has done. He's turned on himself because he's such a gentle person. He's turned on himself, but I have to wait and listen and just be present and keep passing him over to unconditional love. So all of this is available to you through the meditation today. And it's also, we want to show you the power that you have available within you. And something that comes to my mind straight away is that I work with a particular lady who I call her Trudy. It's not her real name. And she's come to me again and again and again. And over the period of times, there's been some breakthroughs. But this particular day, a lot of people say, I can't face my fears. So you're not complete. Part of you is at peace, but part of you is fearful. And then, of course, when you're fearful, you make wrong decisions. You make decisions, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to see them anymore. Or I hate them. And then you close in your life even more and more instead of going back to the wonderful counselor who's within you. So I just said, what if we let the wonderful counselor drift you back? So what if that happens? What if people again accuse you and blame you again? How would you feel? I'd feel guilty and bad. So I just said, what if? And you can use the what if with the guidance of the wonderful counselor. What if you feel guilty and bad? How would you feel about yourself? Oh, I'd hate myself. Okay, so what does that feel like? Oh, it's heavy, it's dark, it's horrible. So she's split. She's divided. Her house is divided. She's divided with herself. And the other thing that's terrible is that when we hate ourselves, we open the door, as I've discovered, and we judge ourselves. We judge what we do and learn from it. But when we judge ourselves, we open the door for everyone else to judge us. I judge myself, and I didn't understand why all the bullies could get to me. They can't anymore. I close the door, and I'm no longer judging myself. Are you judging yourself? Rather than judging what you do and learning from it and asking the wonderful counselor how to move forward. So we deal with stuff that's unresolved from the past because it repeats itself. We just deal with, in the end, just surface stuff. And you're equipped. You've got your toolkit, and you've got the greatest helper of all within you. And you've got available all the YouTube stuff that we've put on there, all the talks and all the meditations, as well as the one on how to come to peace. So I've written a whole lot of stuff, but I've just often just talk. This will bring you to the gift of awareness, of becoming your own best friend, unconditionally loving yourself. Now, there was something that I read today, I'm just going to share with you, that I think is so beautiful. So, so beautiful. What would the world would be radically different if human beings really treated other people as they would like to be treated. Now, for that to happen, we need to become more complete, safe, secure, more forgiving, more merciful, more whatever, but we can't do it until we do it with ourselves, and we then allow love to love us. We can take this as a simple rule of thumb. What would I want from that person right now? Just stop and think. What is that? Who is it in your life that you'd like to have a different relationship? What would you want from that person right now? What would be helpful for you to receive right now? Stop and think, because that's getting you present to you. If you're not present to yourself, you're not there. You're all over the place. You're scattered, and your life will become scattered. So what would I want from that person right now? What would be helpful for me to receive? Now, when you recognize what it is that would be helpful for you to receive, and you want from them, this is when you become more complete. When you're able to get rid of your anger, rage, murder, hatred. I've seen so much of that. And you're able to acknowledge it without blame and let it go and hear the truth. Then you go do that for others, guided by wisdom and love. And then the world around you is transformed. You're transformed and they are transformed. Now, I want to share the scripture that I used to pray years ago when I was going through all sorts of trials and tribulations. And I did this, I clung to it because I thought, if I don't, I'm going to sink in and I'm going to drown. And of course, if ever you feel like you're going to drown, under the guidance of the wonderful counsellor, this is what I ultimately did. I felt what I felt, and I let myself drown in his presence. I went to the bottom where I was powerless, helpless, couldn't do anything, and I was under the water where I thought I would die, and I just faced it. You face your fears with the wonderful counsellor, and I sunk to the bottom, and all of a sudden we asked for the truth to be revealed, and all of a sudden I just came to the surface and I was light and I was free. So all of these trials and tribulations that you have and we have is because we live in the world, but we can live in the world but not of it. And this is where becoming more complete today means that you become one with the one who lives within you, within everything, but knows how to bring order out of chaos. So consider it. This is the scripture. I love it. You probably won't like it. I didn't like it to start with. James 1:2. Consider it pure joy. Have a listen to this. And have a listen to how you consider it. Because I certainly didn't. Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds. Do you consider it full of joy? I used to resist it, resent it, hate it, want to move out from this life. Well, I wanted to end my life years ago. So I know what it's like. I wanted to run the other way. Whenever you face, it says, trials of any kind, because you know that the testing of your faith, and I really believe that Mick, and I got this insight the other day, which really calmed me, that Mick is being tested at the moment. He's going through the fiery furnace so he can become pure gold, and hopefully one day his life will really be able to be there for others because he's been there, just like I am now. Because you know that the testing of your faith, and this is faith, remember you're hopeful. Testing of your faith produces perseverance rather than giving up. And that perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature rather than, like I used to do, react. I used to react, end up feeling a victim and depressed and everything else. Instead of stopping, I had to become mature and take responsibility for my feelings and my thoughts and my reactions and listen to wisdom who has come in again and again and again. So that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything, lacking nothing. So what does that mean for me? And I'm going to finish here. What does that mean for me now, having dedicated my life to having been really broken? I didn't look like I was broken. I had a wonderful facade most of the time. But behind the scenes, because it wasn't safe. It wasn't safe to go to people because they'd try to fix me up or they'd wipe me off or they wouldn't listen. That's what I say, I just needed someone to listen to me. I needed to learn to listen to me and then listen to the wonderful counselor who's within me, which changed my life. So now I believe that you're all being invited to be lifted up above the world. And before, when Michael did the body, mind, heart and spirit meditation, which is on Agape Encounter YouTube, I actually saw my spirit okay, but I just saw it being lifted up with the spirit of life who created it. And it was really kind of like a fun thing, a child thing. The image I got was I was lifted up like on a cloud and I was kicking my legs and I wasn't alone. I was in the presence of a being, a presence, a light. I wasn't alone at all and I wasn't helpless. I was just like a child and I was looking down at the world. So it's sort of observing the world, being aware and looking at it. And I had a sense that I was safe and secure and complete in that place. And even though the world's in a mess, even though it's beautiful in other places, I felt safe and secure, but I also meant, and this is where I feel you're being invited to be able to be in the world but not of it, but with the wonderful counsellor, be able to look at things in the world. And as he said to me so many times, Helen, get out of the way. I get in the way by trying to fix it up. I get in the way by becoming a victim, trying to control, being overly responsible. I've done it all. So I have to step back and allow, ask and allow, and go up there and wait until he calms my farm daily. This is practicing the presence of God, even when I'm doing the carrots, even when I'm getting dinner. Throughout the day, I just ask and become present to me being present, holding the hand of the one who created me like a child by the right hand and my guardian angel on the left. This is what I do. You can choose to do this. But does that mean that everything's always right in my life? No. It means that I was challenged everywhere. But once upon a time, it would send me into a pit. And then I would get low. Now I don't do that anymore. I know what to do, my reason for doing this. And I want to say to you, thank you for listening. And there's many, many other topics. Over the years, I've been showing topics, and each one of them, even if it's repeated, is uniquely different because I have different experiences and I'm always learning. So rather than regret, learn from it. What can you do with the spirit of the one who's giving you every breath that you breathe so that you can become complete, lacking in nothing? I no longer want the house with the hammock. I've got the house. I've got 3 hammocks. I never go in them anymore. This is what I wanted years ago. I wanted to have a wonderful marriage. I have a wonderful marriage. So does that mean we always get on? No. It means that we get triggered, but we're willing to work with it. And now we've made a decision to learn from everything. Does that mean everything's all right in my family? No, they're going through their refining, the refiner's fire. And I'm happy to stand back and shut up and just listen. So I want to encourage you all with my life and say, please do not be a victim, be victorious. Listen, 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 and love, and let that love flow through you and keep learning. And please go to Agape Encounter YouTube or go to our website, agapeencounter.org, and go to the course. All the meditations there. The course is how to gain peace in painful memories. Well, how to become peaceful in your thoughts and your feelings. It's there and it's free. Thank you for listening.